Kicked off. So thank you so much, everyone, for jumping on today. I am joined by a fabulous group here. This is our third session in our co-sell transformation webinar series. I'm joined by Maria Chin from Forrester, who I'm so excited for your portion of the session to deliver some brand new research that has just come out. And I'm also joined by Stephanie Graves, who's from Spur Reply, and she's really working day in and day out with clients who are going through transformations at Spur Reply. So I'm really excited for her to really dig in and talk about launching your co-sell program. So with that, we're going to be digging into launching your co-sell program. So we're going to talk about the what, the why, the who, the when, and the how, and really get into the details. So I just want to start because there's a lot of talk in the market about what is co-selling, and a lot of people talk about it as being a transaction in marketplace. And so I just want to level set with PartnerTap's definition of co-selling. This is a verb. And really, at the end of the day, this is an act by salespeople. Salespeople are co-selling. So this is the active collaboration between salespeople across companies so they can source, influence, or accelerate a deal that's already in process. So with that, I'm going to transition over to Maria, who's going to launch us into some new Forrester research.
Thanks, Cass. Always great to be here. And I'm really excited to share some recent research and data that we have. So we know it's no secret that buyers' preferences and behaviors have changed, and that there's truly an epic shift in the way that businesses work together with their ecosystem partners. Companies that have a strong customer focus really set themselves apart from the less mature pack through very deliberate decisions on goal alignment. And when we think about superior alignment, that really calibrates across your buyers, your partner ecosystems, and your sales teams. So, as buyer and business buyer expectations continue to rise and digital buying increasingly disrupts those routes to market and partner ecosystems, continue to morph to catch up, we're seeing the cost of winning and protecting revenue continuing to rise. So companies that consistently put the customer at the center of their leadership, their strategy, their operations are more successful than non-customer obsessed companies. So really putting the customer at the center of what we do and how we do it. So those organizations that are customer obsessed and use buyer insights, like some of the stuff that I'm about to share, can really use that to inform their strategic planning process, but it also helps you stay ahead of the pack and ahead of your competition by focusing on what's most relevant, impactful for your target buyers. So let's go to the next slide and talk about our target buyers. So when we look at our target buyers, the first step to becoming audience centric is to develop expertise and knowledge around your organization's target buyers. So understanding the new and emerging buying patterns is really going to be essential for B2B leaders who wish to distinguish themselves from the competition and really drive and grow future revenue and growth. And so a couple of these things that I want to call out. According to a recent Forrester survey, 3/4 of marketing decision makers report that B2B buyers want to leverage third parties, so think partners, for purchase validation and or transaction. They really want to gain direction and actionable data from those trusted advisors and trusted third parties. And then as we move along, the next couple of data points I'm going to call out are really based on Forrester's buyer's journey survey, where we asked more than 18,000 buyers who had been involved in a purchase with their organization over the last 12 months, or they plan to be. So it really revealed some surprising insights about the latest buyer behaviors. One of which was that product experts have risen to be the most influential people in the buying cycle. So when we ask global business buyers, they prefer to go straight to the source. They're going to product experts to support their buying decisions. And when we think about them engaged in face-to-face buying, Forrester data shows that these buyers find the personal interactions with product experts more meaningful than all other in-person activities. It's based specifically because product experts are going to add that clarity and value to buyers as they sift through information overload. Then when we look at the buying mix and what happens in the buying process, this year's results again show that buyers still prefer a near equal blend of personal and self-guided interaction types. So when we think about how you and your organization ramp up your ability to interact with buyers, you do this digitally through experiences like virtual meetings, virtual sales rooms, and chatbots. You have to think about, will they best meet buyers' expectations when you're offering this mix of 50-50? When we looked at the top self-guided interactions in 2023, over that last year, they were free trials, they were vendor websites, and internet searches. When we looked at the in-person ones, the human mix, it was sales presentations. Think about that. How are you empowering your sales individuals to have meaningful conversations, but also the ability to bring in those product experts and really manage that focus on, what's most meaningful and what are buyers trying to sift through. And then lastly, one of the greatest differences that I've seen over the years is generational differences. And when we look at what buyers and what buyers are in the mix, we see that 71 respondents were categorized as the younger buyers. So millennial and Gen Z. We're really seeing that they are actually rising in importance and becoming the largest business buying cohort out there today. So we've really seen a moment where we're eclipsing, where these younger buyers are really getting into the driver's seat. So that's really, really important and something that you need to consider as you're creating buying process, sales interactions, and really serving up to be focused on your target buyers. So if we go to the next slide, so what do we do here? We've got these ecosystems that are emerging. We've got buyer insights. When we asked our channel experts and our partner ecosystem experts, we see the shift of partner value expanding and expanding beyond the sort of sell through that traditional sell or resell. That's really building to develop own offerings with partners, to market or influence adoptions, and to really move into this co-sell motion. So to address these evolving partner value to customers, orchestration is going to be critical. And our route to market survey data show that 72% of B2B channel and partner leaders report that orchestration of their partner ecosystems is very important or absolutely essential to their organization. Now, this is up from 67% from last year's data, where you may have seen me on one of these webcasts talking about. So we're seeing it rise in importance. But building and orchestrating a partner ecosystem that includes both traditional routes to market and non-traditional partners is going to be essential to meet these evolving and migrating buyer needs and challenges. But synchronized ecosystems can be tricky. With today's increasingly complex and sophisticated ecosystems, how do you get the most out of your sort of combined flock of partners, your suppliers, your providers, your influencers, so that you can drive more predictable business performance? Well, orchestration is going to be the key to your optimization, right? How do you orchestrate these programs? How do you launch them successfully? And how do you measure their success? So if we go to the next slide and we look at what makes up a partner ecosystem? Well, they're very diverse and they're no longer focused solely on the partners that provide, sort of that through motion. It's really focusing on with and organizations getting involved earlier in the cycle and later in the buying process. So a partner ecosystem really encompasses the complete universe of an organization's partnerships and indirect routes to market. And it's based on and in consideration of the holistic value that they offer to B2B buyers and customers. So it's truly value to your customers that defines your partner ecosystem partners. So we see them exploding in size and complexity, and they're truly helping our buyers navigate business goals and challenges and transform go-to-market motion and really feeds into this rising multi-partner values. So what I'm showing here is just a mix of for representative partner types within an organization. Your partner types will be based on your partner ecosystem and your motions. But suffice to say that it involves more than one partner, and business models are changing. And in fact, if we go to the next slide, and we look at the tremendous growth that we've seen over the last year, both in the number of partners within an ecosystem and in the importance of partner ecosystems, is not just the revenue that's increasing, but it's the size or the number of partners and the ecosystem that's growing. So overall, we're seeing across the board, B2B partner ecosystems are expanding. And in fact, when we looked at our routes to market survey, nearly half of B2B organizations said that they expected growth in the overall number of partners within their ecosystem to be above last year or significantly above. But as you can see, it's not just one partner type or business model that we're seeing it across the board. So this is a representative example of the expected growth in the number of partners across an entire spectrum of partner types in the next 12 months, which includes transacting and non-transacting partners. So if we look at it, look at the ones that you're going to be looking to co-sell with. We're seeing strategic alliances growing in the numbers 45% over last year. We're seeing tech partners at 48%. We're seeing solution providers at 52%. So we're seeing a significant increase in these partners that we're going to market with and that we'd like to engage with in co-sell motions. And in fact, to support this notion of multiple partners, multiple products, multiple touch points to solve customer and buyer issues, if we go to the next slide, we see that in fact, many organizations work through two-tier distribution. And Ingram Micro is a distributor that works across a multitude of brands and a wide variety of partner types. And so they see customer engagement at a massive scale. And this is a quote from Paul Bay, Ingram Micro CEO, where he stated that the average product set, it has 6 different products and services to deliver one outcome to the client. So what is that? That it means you need to orchestrate. That means you need to have the right data. That means you have to have the right launch plan. That means you need to have the right execution model. So buyers are changing. They're looking for holistic solutions, and it's going to involve more than just you and more than just one partner. So to wrap things up as we go forward and go to the next slide, you really need to think about how are you engineering value, buyer value across your business ecosystem. And value is created or lost through all interactions in a customer's value network. So that includes the partners that deliver value beyond just traditional values, partners that build or develop their own offerings or provide a managed service, that they deliver increasingly different levels and higher levels of value to buyers. So to manage the evolving value partners create and deliver to customers, that orchestration is going to truly be essential. So you need to capitalize and enable the power of your partner ecosystems to deliver on customer value creation through these coordinated co-sell initiatives and programs. To really scale a successful B2B growth across organizations and across your partner ecosystems, you must realize that you have to align, you have to ignite, really have to orchestrate your partner ecosystems around this notion of collaborative go-to-market and value creation that is centered around what buyers want and what buyers perceive as valuable. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Cass, to talk a little bit more about these co-sell initiatives and programs.
Thanks so much, Maria. That was awesome information. And, based on all that, this is why, it's a co-selling transformation imperative this year. Maria told us about how buyers are changing and customers and your buyers are wanting to look at product experts. There's, 6 different products sold to any one customer. And so these old playbooks of just direct lead only are just ineffective. And the reason for this is really these deal dynamics. So you think about 6 different products sold to create this solution. That's a ton of sellers and product experts that have to get together And it's extremely difficult to understand who is influencing and talking to your buyers. And so we see spreadsheets getting passed around organizations to figure out who do we need to connect with to really get a solution, a full solution sold into an organization. And we're seeing this at the mid-market level as well as the enterprise level. Mid-market deal cycle today looks and feels like an enterprise deal cycle. And this sharing of spreadsheets flying around organizations, we really call this random acts of co-sell. And nobody can scale co-selling doing this manually. And, this really requires, in order to scale, it requires the best practices. You need change agent leadership. You need a clear program and strategy. And then you need the automation to scale. So with that, I'm going to transfer it over to one of the experts who works day in and day out to build the strategy and the programs and help with the implementation of automation. So Stephanie, over to you.
Thanks, Cass. I'm really excited to be here to talk through these launch best practices and boil down some of what our team has learned in helping a variety of vendors successfully launch and land changes to their co-sell programs through the 5-step process you see here. So if we go to the next slide, we can dive right in. One of the first things we do at this point in an engagement, once the strategy is clearly defined, you've maybe piloted some of those sales plays with your most strategic partners, is we really want to work with the client team to define impactful messaging that will help guide all stakeholder groups successfully through the change. It sounds simple, but there's so much that goes into building a meaningful message that's going to resonate across all of those different audiences. When planning innovations, transformations, or even large initiatives or projects, we tend to focus on the strategy, technology, or business process aspects of the effort and tend to take for granted or overlook the need to bring people along on a journey. Very often, the why of the change is not well communicated or not communicated consistently and in a sustained way by key leaders in the organization. So you want to start by clearly defining your why. Bring together those key leaders and stakeholders to discuss and document not only why establishing your co-selling program is a strategic priority, but why it's critical to execute on it now. We find that bringing stakeholders together in a workshop setting can often help everyone align on a shared vision and message. You should also consider how you will ensure your message is benefits oriented. It's broader than just what's in it for me, but it considers the needs and values and drivers across stakeholder groups, including your sales and partner teams, partners, and customers. By focusing on those benefits whenever possible, you can better motivate stakeholders and ideally demonstrate not only the business value, but the personal value that change brings. So if we go to the next slide, once you have developed that messaging and you've begun planning out your resources and tools, it's time to shift your focus to cultivating internal readiness with the goal of equipping your team with the necessary knowledge and tools to collaborate confidently with sellers at other companies to ensure co-selling success. Executing well in this step is really key, as this is often where we see things start to break down. Across any program launch, there are several ways we think about building readiness, starting with 2 related topics, internal awareness and people readiness. Internal awareness really lays the foundation by ensuring impacted stakeholders understand that why. People readiness, on the other hand, equips your team with the what, things like specific knowledge of partner strengths and offerings, as well as customer benefits and relevant use cases. So if people readiness and internal awareness set up the why and the what, then training and enablement, as well as adoption promotion, are the keys to the how. Training and enablement requires focused investment in ensuring sellers and partner teams are well-versed in using key resources such as co-selling playbooks and co-branded marketing materials. Adoption promotion, on the other hand, is focused on fostering open communication, removing roadblocks or barriers to success, and motivating continued collaboration between your sales and partner teams. If we go to the next slide, Now you've laid that groundwork internally. It's time to go broad and make that splash with your launch externally, starting with executing on your marketing launch, which you should have defined in your communications plan back in step one. Luckily you have a defined messaging framework at this point, and can feel confident in the approach that you've outlined. This is the time to get in front of top partners and media outlets and share your message, as well as going big and bringing lots of energy to promoting press releases, success stories, and partner webinars. Post-launch, you'll also want to invest in ongoing promotion, but bringing even more impact to your marketing launch and ongoing promotion should be a through line of executive evangelism. We talked about executive involvement as part of step one, and this is an opportunity to reinforce that messaging across not only internal audiences, but with partners and customers as well, ensuring that those executive messages are highly visible across all of the channels that your partners engage with you through. If we go to the next slide, as you move beyond the launch stage, it's important to remember that evangelism is not just a point-in-time effort, and you will need to establish mechanisms to drive continuous co-selling engagement. The data is pretty clear. Up to 70% of business transformations will fail. However, that number goes down significantly with effective change management. And the research also shows that the most significant driver of transformation success is sustained and visible sponsorship from leaders. So you want to work with your sponsors to develop a focused post-launch approach. And if we go to the next slide, finally, this last step continues forever. Driving the adoption and proficiency needed to become a world-class co-selling organization requires you to make fostering collaboration and co-selling success an ongoing priority. What that looks like might vary based on your company's needs and org structure, but some key areas of investment could be, continued executive advocacy and reinforcement. That is going to be important all along this journey, as well as effective governance, really making sure you have that intentional structure and oversight to guide program changes over time. Investing in continuous learning to upskill your partner teams for success. And finally, ongoing co-sell capability assessments will allow you to focus additional co-sell training and support resources on those reps who really need it most. So with that, I'll hand it back to Cassandra to wrap us up.
Thanks, Stephanie. So thanks everybody for joining us today. I know I see a couple questions that have come into the chat. If anybody else has questions, please put them into the chat. We will answer them at the end. I just want to let everybody know that we'll be sending this deck out. If you missed our first two webinars about the co-sell journey and co-sell strategy and program design, you'll have the links in this presentation that we send out. You'll also get a copy of this recording, but we're really excited for our last and final session in our webinar series, and that is the co-sell desk of the future and a new role that we see emerging, which is a co-sell quarterback. So really excited to talk to everybody about the future of co-sell in our next session. So with that, I just want to let you know that you can reach out to anybody on this call today. We have Forrester, Maria Chin, and Hannibal Scipio. He's not on the call, but these are co-sell experts. They're seeing these things and researching day in and day out. So please reach out with questions there. And then Spur Reply, a great partner of Partner Taps. They are working day in and day out, helping companies design programs and launch programs. And then myself and Judy Lord. Judy is our Chief Product Officer, and we're working with companies day in and day out on the automation and of their processes. So with that, I'm going to transfer it to Partner Tap community to ask any questions of the panel.
Thanks, Cassandra. And yes, we do have a couple of questions here. So one of them that I think is pretty interesting is they're asking if any of you have you directly helped companies with their new co-sell programs, and can you share your experience with that? And Stephanie, would you mind starting us off and sharing your experience?
Sure, absolutely. So recently we worked with an automation vendor on launching their new co-selling program. And I think one of the things that was really impressed upon me as we got into that execution and launch phase is the importance of developing a comprehensive messaging framework for changes like this. Messaging frameworks are a change management best practice that we use to reflect communication principles, messaging evolution, and the mix of channels that are needed for effective change communication. So working with that vendor to really, consider how their message needed to evolve over time, from building awareness, all the way down to reinforcing the change. That messaging framework really was key, and something I would recommend everyone invest the time in for success.
Great.
Thank you. And Cassandra, what about you? Any experience?
Yeah, so I think we talk a lot about Lumen because they had such a strategic approach in the beginning of their co-sell transformation journey. They had executive alignment from right from the start. And so when you build a program and all the messaging that goes to the partner community and to your sellers, it's so important for the launch. And then it's all about the ongoing management, change management along the way. So they have been such a great, just a great company to work with, extremely innovative, and have really pushed the boundaries of automation. And I'm really excited with their results. And they're very loud about their program, so it's why I like to talk about them.
Thank you so much. And Maria, any experience that you could offer up?
Yeah, I'm going to build a little off of what Stephanie and Cassandra both said and take it from both an analyst and a practitioner perspective. So I love, executive sponsorship, most definitely. This needs to be part of a collaborative go-to-market initiative that needs to be seen as something that an investment in the organization's growth and experiences that they're delivering to buyers and customers. You need to have the right messaging, absolutely. But there's an element of it making sure that you involve both the direct team and the indirect team. Sometimes the direct team is lost in some of this because we think about it as such a channel effort and a channel initiative or a partner-led motion. No, this is co-sell, two or more individuals selling. And so it's imperative that you create the right execution, the right messaging, and create champions within both of those communities. So we always say your success is really dependent upon direct and indirect execution, messaging, rollout, and measurement. When I look at it from an analyst perspective, it's something Cass said about SMBs are looking at this and treating it like an enterprise would initiative. And so that's one of the things that we see is we advise a lot of enterprise and large organizations how to do this. They're investing in it and they might be doing it in a very high touch fashion. But what they ultimately want to get to is how do they scale it through their SMB business? And you can't do one with another. And this is where my practitioner experience comes in, because back in the day when I was working at Sun Microsystems and creating programs for our partners and our partner ecosystem, we developed a co-sell model. We had, Sales Connect, which direct with the sales team, and Partner Connect, where you would connect with a partner. We did not have the benefits. It was a very high touch model. We did our concierge services ourselves, me making the connections, back end, kind of those random acts of co-sell and using spreadsheets. I did not have the benefit of a solution or software or something that I could actually roll out to scale. Now that we do, it's imperative that you look at not only building champions, but how do you look at building the process? So maybe the higher touch model about how this works and engineer that into a process or program initiative that can scale out to the masses. That's where you're going to get growth. That's where you're going to look at the economies that of scale and touch and experience that your partners can bring to you in a much more coordinated, collaborative fashion.
Awesome.
Well, thanks everyone. Thank you so much. We like to keep our webinars to a tight 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap this up and we will send out the slides to everybody. And we look forward to helping everyone understand and progress the co-selling movement.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.